Yo, what's up? It's Don Cannon, and I've been crafting music and telling stories as long as I can remember. From the streets of Philly to producing hip-hop legends, my journey is all about creating timeless music. I've had the honor of working with some of the best in the game, leaving the marks of our sounds throughout the music culture. I picked up a few accolades on the way, but the real reward is in the music, the stories, the culture. And I'm excited to share those collaboratory stories. It's not just about my journey, it's about the collective heartbeat of music we create together. And this is BackTrak, hosted by me, Don Cannon. What's up, world? Check it out. It's your boy Don Cannon, the #1 co-signer. We are at the legendary Patchwork Studios, Atlanta, Georgia. We're gonna take a peek inside. We're gonna move around and show you how legendary it is. And I'm gonna show you what my techniques was for some of my classic records. Let's get into it. A lot of great records were made in this studio. When you walk through this hallway in Patchwork, you know you made it. Usher, you got Luda, you got Mike Jones, you got Outkast, Total's been here. Some of the mixes, some of the masters, some of the creation is done right in this building. It's a staple in Atlanta, and I had to come back here to show y'all what it really was. We're gonna walk through some more and show you what it's all about. As you can see, the walls don't stop with plaques. You know, we got all the way to Whitney Houston, got Raekwon, man, you got Lil Baby, which is most recent, and then you got Minds right here in the middle of the wall. This room was notorious for this album right here. I did Go Crazy here, I did Mr. 17.5 here, we did some mixing for Circulating here, but this is one of my favorite plaques. We did so much recording in and out this room. OZ's here.
Yo.
It's my man OZ for a long time, man.
Hey,
Patchwork,
man.
We got a lot of history.
I'm talking about decades in this thing. For
That's
real,
right.
man. For
That's
real.
right.
You see plaques on the wall.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
heavy.
right. Shout out my man.
Word up.
OZ. Patchwork,
Bang.
baby.
Yeah.
So this is the legendary lounge. Everybody sat here. Anybody that had any guests, anybody was making beats on the side, they couldn't be in the room, they was right here. I think it's still got the same stereo system, same setup. Look, got the scratches on it. This couch is here. They've redone this room a couple times, but when I was here, this is where I would be at when people were recording in the room. A lot of the superstars didn't want a lot of the producers in the room, and I was young when I was creating, so I would come in here with my headphones and work on stuff in here. Also, what was special about the studio is you could hear the playback from the room in here on the speakers, so you can go back and forth and hearing the takes and, you know, hearing what's going on in the B room. Very special place. We're gonna get into what I'm here for, and that's recreating some of your classics right here in this building where I first started in 2005 and 6. Welcome to the B room. Man, I've brought some of my prized possessions in this room. I wanted to start off explaining to you some of the equipment that we have. I'll start by getting this old young thing out the way. That's a MacBook Pro, we don't need that. You know what I mean? We got Apollo, we don't need that. Classic records, we definitely need this. I'm gonna go through those in a second. I wanna talk about this machine for a little bit. It's the first beat machine that I ever got, this ASR X Pro. What happened was, I went to Sam Ash when I was young, and I was about 17, 18 years old. I went to go get an MPC. My mom went with me, and a guy convinced me to get this because there was no MPCs in the store. And I said, no, I don't want that. I want the MPC. And at the time, I think it was the 2000, they were nowhere to be found, but this guy was like, yo, you know, listen, the RZA, this Alchemist, everybody uses the ASR. So I was like, man, I don't want to leave this store without having a beat machine. So what I wound up doing was getting the ASR, right? I take it home and it becomes my trusty tool into making the classics. I wanted to move along, but first I wanted to just emphasize the floppy disk. The floppy disk is something different. This is a world of losing records, making records, and being your best friend at the same time. This is original stack of them, some stickers we had to write on the back. Floppy disk was great all the way up until they made the zip drive, which you could hold more beats on. The more elaborate of the beat, the more floppy disk you might have, 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on how much information you needed. Go Crazy probably was like 4 discs. This is a Technique DJ mixer. It's a world-class mixer. They use this in many championships when people battle. Technique is one of the brands I lived by. I had Gemini as a young kid, but this particular mixer is the one I used when I made some of my classic records. You know, it has that classic gold touch. This is a Technique 1200 direct drive turntable. This is what every DJ used once they came from belt drives as young kids. You cannot find these turntables. If you can, don't pay a hefty lump sum. This is the exact setup that I used when I was doing Go Crazy and Mr. 17.5 in this particular room. So knowing I had this equipment, one of the things I had to do was, run all around Atlanta. I just recently went record shopping. I was looking for the original record I did go crazy with, which was The Impressions, Man Oh Man. And I found some other joints that, I'm gonna wind up sampling before I give Mega his record player back. It's Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. I picked this up. I never heard this particular album because I didn't sample a lot of the stuff from Smokey Robinson, but I like the cover. And that's one of the things we did back in the day. We would look back and see who played the instruments. A lot of times you would see the arrangement and what instruments were on the album, and then you'll look at the cover and be like, oh, that artwork looked like it's gonna be it. All right, this is The Moments. Again, here's another record. I'm super familiar with them. I love their instrumentation, some of the best, soul music you could have. Another Smokey record that I found is dope. It says Do Not Open, so I'm feeling like this is one of the best from a soundtrack, big time. Now this record right here is what we're gonna get into. This is the Miracles Do It Baby album. This is one of the records I found, I believe at Earwax. This isn't the original one. I repurchased it. This is Mr. 17.5 from Jeezy. The name of the song was Give Me Just Another Day. A crazy record because this is the Miracles without Smokey Robinson. I'm glad I found this record in mint condition because I need to put this in my archives. A little bit of history I have myself as well. So we're gonna get into this in the second part, but I just wanted y'all to see this one.
I got these cookies.
I got the cookies. There's one thing that this staple has that nobody in the city had when we were creating, and it was the famous chocolate chip cookies. These some of the best chocolate chip cookies ever. I think some people book these rooms for the chocolate chip cookies. And I don't know one person that came here and didn't eat one. I don't care if you was in shape, not in shape, didn't like chocolate, didn't like cookies, you ate these cookies. That was recording here, you could ask anybody. Jazzy Faye, Jeezy, T.I., Luda. The chocolate chip cookies is what they all mention when you mention Patchwork. The second one is the famous lemonade they made for over years. This lemonade is classic. That goes with the chocolate chip cookies. I've seen people that had to use tea to sing and rap because their voice was messed up, just drink the lemonade instead of the tea and eat the chocolate chip cookies. So I wanted to put some emphasis on that because those are classic things in the city for almost 23 years. So we are here live at the legendary Patchworks, Atlanta, Georgia. This is a making of Mr. 17.5 by Young Jeezy. This came out 2006. This is actually the second record that I made for Young Jeezy. It's also my second placement ever as a professional producer. As you know, I used to love soul samples, but I also gravitated to high energy records. Everybody needed to move. Everybody had to feel a certain way. Part of that is being horns. I remember seeing old videos of like Curtis and Marvin, and I just seen this elaborate horn section and drum section where they would go, burn, 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 and everybody in the crowd would be dancing. I always wanted to be that person. I was a DJ by nature, so I always wanted to have a high energy record. Maybe 6 months to find a perfect record. The record happened to be The Miracles, what we talked about before. I did not expect it to have these type of horns. I want to play the sample first. Once I heard this from the type of record, I knew it was gonna be something because you heard the drum rolls, you heard the horns, you know it was gonna be aggressive. And then I heard this little string, eerie type of sound. So I was like, oh, okay, I know where this is going. And I heard this part, I got excited. Played out, I had some more going, we had some more pieces in there. As I got to the bridge, I found out some of the, the good parts. That was for the intro of the record. I sampled it in just like that. And once I got it in, I can go through these pads and just kind of like, so I chopped each piece. So it's really easy. Chopping a sample and playing it came out like this. So those are the chops. It's a very simple beat. I wanted the club to ring off when I made the record. Those ones where 2 o'clock in the morning at Club Visions, people will play those, you know, everybody be going crazy, that's the record. And everybody started playing the actual freestyles that people went on at Stack Bundles, made a lot of noise with the freestyle, especially when I went to New York. I would go to record stores and people would stop me like, bro, that Stack Bundles, Mr. 17.5, crazy. So I felt like that was very important to intro the record because it made a statement for Jeezy. What's also important about that record is after Jeezy did it, it became one of everybody's favorites. A lot of people freestyled on that beat and I made name recognition off of that. I got a lot of calls after the second one. Go Crazy was like, whoa, but after this one, it was like, bro, I need one of them. Thanks to the Miracles for clearing the record, that's how we got to this moment, or this anthem. The drum sound selection, it was just a normal kick that I always used. I'm assuming I got it from the machine, but if I didn't, I got it from a record that I might have chopped out and added some sounds to make it my own. But more than likely, it came out the machine. Same thing with the clap, that came out the machine. This is from the TR-808 machine that I sampled in. That's how the drum pattern was. Still has the club bounce. So that's basically it. It was really, really easy. People that don't want to add a bunch of things in a beat and be this super elaborate producer. I want it to be empty. I want people to rap to it. At that time, I was just doing it. I was duplicating what I had already done with Go Crazy. And I just wanted to keep moving. Jeezy, when he first heard this beat, he couldn't wait to record it. I remember being in here and they used to have a CD burner in a closet. And I came in, I think I made about 4 or 5 records, recorded them the CD. I gave him the CD. I was like, well, if you like, you like. If you don't, you don't. I'm gonna try to get this to Jay-Z or somebody. At the time, I think Cassidy was out. I was gonna give it to Cassidy. He heard it, he was like, don't let that go nowhere. I got something for it. He was famous for recording in the A-room here, and he would be in this little like compartment closet recording the records. I remember when he recorded and he told me to come hear it, and I was like, damn, we got another one. It's safe to say that he really loved that record, and I feel like, you know, our sound progresses over the years, and we kept that same consistency all the way through. Every time he come, he don't say I need to Go Crazy or 17.5, but he'd be like, yo, I need that energy.
Can you still create this sound digitally?
Yeah, but it's not the same. Like, this being, it's some way of sound, like the actual analog version of this, it just feels so much better than digital. Digital's so much cleaner. They got plugins where you can dirty up stuff, but I think this sound, it just feels like something I'm almost considering. I might have to incorporate that with, you know, the Mac and Ableton and try to, you know, get the dirty griminess of the sound. I think that's the difference in today's sound and how it was then. It just felt some type of way. I actually want to go through the process of tracking this beat out because it's very important. One of the things that was like a hiccup in this machine is that it wasn't regimented and it didn't follow the MIDI time clock. So it was a MIDI time clock. Back in the day, the MPC could plug up straight into Pro Tools and press play in Pro Tools and it'll drag all the sounds out. And that's how easy the track out was. I didn't have 8 inputs here. I only had 2, so I had to track it out one sound by one sound for 3 minutes. Then another one for 3 minutes. But the messed up thing about this machine was the MIDI clock would never lock up. So I would press play and it would start like a half a second late. So it would never be on point. A guy named Mike Wilson that was here, he was one of the head engineers here. He helped me understand how to track out this machine into Pro Tools. And what we had to do was I had to add this 4-bar metronome in the beginning. That's how I would line up everything. I would put one track in there with that click for 3 minutes, and then every time just match up the clicks. I would record them all in there sloppy and then match the metronomes up in the beginning, and that's how I got the beat to perfectly match up. So as you can see here, this is the process, which I told you about earlier, how we had to do it for the ASR. We had to put the metronome clicks in the beginning so that we understood where to start the record. Actually, I don't have it looped up, but you could just hear the sounds playing simultaneously on different tracks as I use the metronome. So that's the process. I recorded in there. Once we got a good loop, we could loop it all the way down and just make it in a song form, make the verses, make the hooks. And then I have one of the engineers like Mike or somebody to come in, put some compression on certain sounds, make it sound like, you know, a good record, get some glue going. But that's actually the whole process. But I wanted to show that because that was important, that I didn't have those 8 outs, which is the 8 solo inputs to and outs to, you know, record it correctly. I had to do it this way. So imagine doing that for 50 to 100 beats or 10 in a session. When I came here for 12 hours, I did 10 beats. I had to track them out like that in order to get them in there and record the CD. You know what I mean? Sometimes the CD would be $18 blank. One thing I love to see is when they burnt the CD, they had the cover on it that said Patchwork Studios, the date, Don Cannon, and 5 beats. That was like everything. That was like, oh, I got 5 beats on CD. So, and it'd be all the beats on there, and then you could play them anywhere, and the quality was good. Shout out to Mike Wilson for helping me do a lot of the stuff. Curtis Daniels, again, I mentioned him before. It's one of my guys. And then last but not least, the person who mixed these songs, Leslie Brathwaite. And that's how we built the relationship here at Patchwork in the other room. He mixed Go Crazy. He did not mix Mr. 17.5. John Fry from Stankonia mixed that. Stankonia is the studio Outkast created. I built a great relationship with Leslie Brathwaite being in this building, printing beats, him walking in like, who's doing that? And I was like, me. We connected, and that's the history. A lot of the things in this history of this building is where I created my name. A lot of artists that I was able to work with came out of here. A lot of records I made came out of here. So that's why we're here.